Step on up, sit down, twist off that bottle top or crack open that can, and welcome to Porch Matters. This is Terry Cagle coming to you from my back porch. Yes sir, yes ma'am, the name of this show is authentic. On Porch Matters, our saying is this: big issues or just a friendly conversation, no topic is off limits. We take pride in being able to talk about anything with each other in an open discussion. Open discussion is one of the only ways to learn. Your perspective could be changed. You could change the perspective of others. Friends and family, welcome back to another episode of Porch Matters. I'm glad you're here. It's been a very busy week and weekend for me. Put in several 14-hour days last week. Yesterday I drove up to Lexington, Alabama to be with Stacy and her family for a tractor pull. Wasn't able to stay till the end, but it was fun. If you've never been to a tractor pull, you need to experience it at least once in your life. Rock the South was in Cullman, Alabama this weekend where I work. Anyone listening to this that went to Rock the South, please go to the Porch Matters page and leave a comment sharing your stories from the weekend. I've always heard Rock the South was a lot like the Talladega infield. I'd like to hear from you. What do you think? Was it wild? On this episode, I'm joined by Pittman and Shane Murray of Pass the Jar podcast. The conversation went all over the place, but it was a ton of fun. I really hope you enjoy it. Without further ado, let's get started. Drake Pittman, Shane Murray, Pass the Jar podcast. Welcome to the porch, my friends. How are you?
Doing good, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah. The only thing that make me happier is if I was actually on the back porch too, but it's kind of muggy outside. So at the same time, I'm kind of glad in the AC.
It is kind of muggy, that's for sure, but it's not near as bad as it has been. The past 2 or 3 days, you can just walk outside and lose about 5 pounds.
That is a fact.
Man, I was planning on going fishing and stuff today because my wife was off, and I walked out of the gym after my workout, and I couldn't breathe. I was like, we're going to sit at home and watch TV today.
While we were right in the middle of the monsoon season, as I like to call it, I kept telling people at work, I can't wait for the days whenever we have to pull up and sit in the truck for 5 minutes and let the dust settle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. I'll just go ahead and be honest with you.
Man, we were out west in Wyoming and Idaho back in June, towards the end of June, and my sinuses got so dry and like it hurt to breathe. I was like, you know what? I miss humidity, but I kind of recant that statement now. I'd rather be getting acclimated to altitude and no humidity.
Yeah. Out west, it's like it's basically the equivalent of, walking around in an oven.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 78 degrees and it felt like 100.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got a buddy that lives out in Arizona. Shout out to you, Fluid, if you happen to be listening to this. He talks about how, the average temperature out there is anywhere between 125 and 130 sometimes during the summer.
Hard pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good.
Give me my humidity over that.
So what's been going on, my friends? How's life?
It's going well, man. We are getting geared up for our 4th season.
Yeah.
And we're also launching a new podcast in September.
Didn't have enough responsibilities, so we figured why not tack on.
Yeah, you got nothing else to do. Might as well just start up another podcast. I like it.
Exactly.
I like it.
I'm waiting on I was joking around with my director at work, and I told her, talking about the vaccine mandates and how they're probably definitely coming for us healthcare workers. And I told her, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do because I definitely ain't turning into Joe Rogan overnight, but I feel like it as much as I do this crap.
I understand that too. I got a bad feeling those mandates are coming, and I don't necessarily know if y'all want to go there, but I don't know, man.
Hey, this is your podcast.
If you're comfortable with it, I can lay it all out there too.
Hey, I'll talk about it, just like in my slogan, brother. Good conversations or big topics, nothing's off limits. And quite frankly, if people want to get the vaccine, I mean, this is just my stance. Mm-hmm. I don't care if it's popular. I don't care if I just don't give a crap. Really don't. We've been talking COVID for over a year and a half, and now everybody's pushing that vaccine and everything down our throats. just use common sense. Wash your dadgum hands. If you feel like if you're immunocompromised, wear your mask, keep your distance, whatever you need to do. If you feel like going out there and taking that vaccine, go right ahead. I'm not stopping you. I'll even applaud you if you do it. But if you don't want to take it, don't go take it. But quit bashing everybody else for whatever decision that they're making. Worry about you. Worry about your circle. And I made that comment on social media to some friends of mine last year whenever all of this stuff started up. Mm-hmm. And I got called. Let's see, what did I get called? It was something. It was something along the lines of I was insensitive and I was a selfish prick because the only thing because I kept mentioning my people and my circle, but they were thinking about everybody in the world. Why in the world would I think about everybody in the world?
No,
I shouldn't. The only people that I should be concerned about is my people. Yeah. Why? Because they are the ones that are influential in my life. Those are the ones that are in my circle. Yep. As long as I make sure that I'm doing everything that I possibly can to make sure everybody in my circle's good, my circle of friends is going to be different than yours.
Yep.
My circle of friends is going to be different than Sean's. If all three of us take care of our circle, and if everybody in the world just took care of their circle, we wouldn't be having no problems.
Be good to go.
But vaccination, no vaccination, studies are coming out now to where they're talking about people that are vaccinated and have already got both of their shots and everything else is still catching this. I know whenever I go get a flu shot, I get the flu every single time. But yet whenever I don't go get a flu shot, I'm good to go all year. Yeah.
That's what everybody, I was telling Shane.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're getting hit with on the flu shot thing. They're taking a chance basically. They're saying, hey, we believe that this strain of the flu is going to be the most prevalent one this year. So this is the dosage that we're sending out. Now, if they swing and miss, guess what? Waste of time.
Yeah.
And that's what I was telling Shane when he first got here was like, I'm kind of on the fence I've always been on the fence about the vaccine. Do I want to get it or do I not? Like I've canceled 3 appointments to go get the vaccine because like, I don't know what I want to do, but I'd rather not get it for right now than get it and regret getting it because now you can't turn back from getting it.
Right.
I look at it like a paid study. Basically, you're basically getting paid for a study trial.
There's 4 or 5 years in a phase of a vaccine. We're in year 1 of phase 3. The last time I looked of the COVID vaccine. If you want it, go get it by all means. Like my granddad got it and I said, good for you. You need it because he's compromised. Like,
right.
He's got heart issues. He's 76 or 77 years old, smoked pretty much my whole life that I know of. And I'm like, yeah, if you get it, it'll mess you up.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a big vaccine pusher. I'm not out there trying to tell everybody in the world they need to be vaccinated, but there's 2 groups of people that for whatever reason wanted my opinion on what I thought about the vaccines. And I was just going to hammer, you need it. It would be, like you said, the immunocompromised people, no matter age, or the elderly.
Right.
Because as we saw when COVID first spiked, those were the 2 groups that were most affected.
And what's pissed me off the most about it is you've got the pro-vaccine people saying you're selfish, you're conspiracy theorists, and then you've got the people that are against the vaccine saying you're sheep, you're morons, you're going to die, blah, blah. And I'm like, look, I'm just right here in the middle. I'm like, you do what you want to do. You do what you want to do, and let's just leave everybody alone because basically we are a free country. You should be able to do what you want to do. Make your own choices. And I told my wife earlier, I was like, I feel like it's just going to be these big cities that really mandate it. But when you get breakthrough cases, I know it may not affect you as bad. And I think that's the only thing that turns me on towards the vaccine is it may not mess me up as bad if I got the vaccine. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure I had it back in December of 2019 before it was a thing because couldn't taste, couldn't smell, couldn't breathe, cough nonstop, out of breath, walking from the parking deck over to where I work in the hospital. And I was like, I feel like I'm dying. Like I told my wife, I feel like I'm dying. The next thing you know, we had Christmas and everything. My dad, my brother, and a couple of others in our family got sick. And I was like, well,
Drake's a super spreader.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
I joke around and say I was patient zero in Walker County and nobody knew it.
Hey, I know several people, my girlfriend knows people that was the same way. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of people that, if they think about it, they probably had it just like you were talking about and didn't even know it.
Yeah.
And
That's kind of been. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, man, go ahead.
I was gonna say that's kind of been my stance on it. Is I have no desire to get the vaccine, and that's because I had COVID in October. Went and got tested positive. Same thing. No taste, no smell. Couldn't stay awake for longer than 45 minutes to an hour. All I wanted to do was just lay there and sleep.
Yeah.
Went and had blood work done not too long ago. Still have antibodies for COVID. Now, we were told you would have antibodies for maybe up to 30 days. And this was back in October of 2020. So still have them. And to me, somebody on Facebook, actually my cousin, posted, a question, why or why not the vaccine? Just a simple post. And there was probably 120 comments. Typically, that's one of the things that I'll just stay out of when people are going back and forth that much. But as I started reading, I realized, okay, no, people in here are actually just having conversations. This guy's stating why he thinks it's a good idea. This guy replied back with why he thinks it's a bad idea. There's no bashing back and forth. So that's what I commented was, I'm a firm believer in blood, the science of it saying if you have antibodies and you come in contact with it again, the antibodies are there to ward off the disease. So that's how I'm living right now. Go get the blood work test and it says, oh yeah, you have no antibodies. Maybe now I'm thinking, that was a tough 2 weeks. Didn't really get a lot accomplished. Felt like maybe the vaccine might not be a bad idea.
Yeah. That's why I'm on the fence about it because, I don't want to get it and wish I didn't get it, but then I want to get it just in case somehow I catch some form of COVID and it ends up not being as bad as it should have been. So I'm kind of torn. Plus, my wife and I travel a lot, so eventually we're going to have to do something. So,
right.
Because especially with big cities, like we just saw New Orleans today, as we're like at the time of recording, they're probably about to put out a mandate. Well, guess what? We're going to New Orleans in 2 weeks. So I'm
going to party it up, huh?
A little bit. Then on to throw back one or two.
There might be a masquerade going on down there.
Nice. A little past the jar masquerade, maybe?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, the way
Shane is also the king of our dad jokes on this podcast.
I studied the dialect. I speak it pretty fluently.
As far as my stance, I go along with what Shane said. Right now, I'm choosing not to. I'll put it out there. Why? Everybody wants to talk about the polio vaccine and how great and wonderful it was. And yeah, it did a lot of good until 5 to 10 years down the road and people started having symptoms that was actually worse than polio. Am I wrong?
No. The other thing people forget, 65 years. It took 65 years for the polio vaccine to get finalized and mass distributed.
Right. This vaccine that's just come out now, it's what, the second most rushed vaccine next to which one? Polio.
Yeah.
So I look at it kind of like buying a new iPhone or a new Samsung. Every time a new phone comes out, a lot of bugs that have to be worked out. Takes them, 6 months to a year to work some of those bugs out? I wait on the bugs to get worked out and the price to come down before I upgrade my phone.
That's another thing. We were talking about the whole, paid study trial or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm holding. If right now President Biden's offering $100 or, telling the states offered $100 for people to go get vaccinated, who's to say that in 2 months, we're not looking at 1,000.
Right.
4 months, it'd be 10 grand. I'm holding. So,
like I said, I mean, all the bugs ain't worked out. As you were talking about a while ago with antibodies and everything, I heard a study that was, and they always say, listen to the science and listen to the science. Well, science is just like politics. It leans left or right. A lot of times, a lot of those studies aren't right down the middle like it's supposed to be. Science can be bought just like anything. For the right price, they'll give you any kind of results for whichever way you want to lean it. Fact of life.
Oh, yeah.
So But, I was listening to a study, and they were talking about how if you've had it and you've got the antibodies, that these vaccines can actually kill the antibodies that you've got built up from having it.
Yeah.
Seems
say-
counterproductive.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's almost, I think a lot of people look at that mask as a political symbol now.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
It's a lot like a red hat.
Yeah, it is. And there's a lot of parallels there. Right, wrong, good, bad, or indifferent. A lot of people look at that mask and see all the negative and everything. Tyranny, you're not going to tell me what to do, blah, blah, blah. And as I was telling Lindsay Rowland, as far as politics goes, everybody wants all the same thing as far as the big major things. We want to be able to make as much money as we can. We want to be able to have the best medical coverage possible. We want to be able to take care of our families and raise our kids safely, securely, as good, if not better, than what we had. And we want to be left alone.
Yeah. Big thing. Biggest thing right there. Leave me alone.
It don't matter which side that you're on. I just about bet you everybody across the world that can hear this show would agree to that. And we also want to be able to serve and worship whichever God we choose.
Yeah. Yep. I'm big on that.
I love that.
Just let people do whatever they want to.
That's what I was saying earlier. Vaccine, no vaccine, it's your choice and it's your family's choice. There shouldn't be any government mandates, if you ask me. But what do I know? I'm just a truck driver.
I get tired of seeing, that's why, like I said, I try to stay off social media. But the conspiracy theory side of TikTok, as far as the vaccine goes, has really just kind of provided me comedy because, according to them, on August the 11th, which was yesterday, and the 25th, the people who got the vaccine are going to fry when they do that 5G pulse test. And I'm like, come on, give me a break. Like, gosh, like this is why I stay off social media as much as I can. And then you got people, friends and family that that are pro-vax, pretty much saying you're stupid if you don't get it, and anti-vax saying you're stupid if you do get it. I'm like, look, why don't you just let people make up their own minds? Just leave everybody alone.
Yeah.
You ain't got to browbeat nothing because you're beating a dead horse when it comes to somebody that's already made up their mind on something.
And 9 times out of 10, when you're doing that, you might have a guy like, I'll use myself as an example here. I hopped on Facebook, like I said, on my cousin's post, and I see that many comments, and automatically my mind goes to, there's some fighting and tearing down going on in here. But then I get in there and I'm like, no, this is genuine conversation. Well, a person like me, somebody on the fence that, can't decide one way or the other, might get in there and say, hey, maybe the vaccine wouldn't be a bad idea. But if at any point in time they're like, I'm just not sure about it, and somebody decides to chime in with, well, you're an idiot and you're killing half of the world by not getting vaccinated, well, now you've completely turned me off to it.
Yeah.
Because I just don't like you because of how you just reacted to a simple statement I made.
Agree wholeheartedly.
I trust science, but at the same time, I trust freedom of choice even more.
I agree wholeheartedly. And speaking of freedom of choice, that is an epic mullet, my friend.
I'm trying out here. I'm trying. 6 years in the military, a medium fade got real old. So the second that I got to let this thing grow, I haven't looked back since.
I understand. I've always wanted to grow my hair out, but I can't stand it for hair to touch my ears.
Same.
Yeah, now at work, judge me if you want to. That's fine. I don't care. At work, this bad boy goes into a tight ponytail just for that sole purpose. I'm doing a lot of up and down movements, bending over, twisting around. And the first time I got whipped in the eye bite, there was a millisecond of I'm shaving my head.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. I thought you was fixing to say man bun.
Oh no, I won't call it that. No, I wasn't gonna go that far. It does get rolled into a little ponytail back there.
Luckily, he was in the military during the man bun phase.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Are you saying that if he wasn't in the military, he would have been rocking the man bun?
Oh, 1,000%.
Free Shane probably would have gave it a try.
Drake, that's a pretty epic beard you got going on there.
I appreciate it. I used to keep it shaved, at least a 5 o'clock shadow. And then, man, I haven't trimmed it down to at least a small beard since my wedding, and that was over 5 years ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2016.
So
was
now
the
it's
last
just-
time I remember you.
Shout out to my boy Eric Nix. I just go get trimmed once every 2 months, just to kind of keep her shapely.
That would be the old 64 barbershop, correct?
Yes,
Yes,
sir. Yeah,
Good
They-
guys.
they keep me lined up. Like with you, with touching the ears, like I pay attention. Like when my fade on my side of my head starts going over the ears of my glasses.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's time to go back.
Yeah. Well, while we were all on lockdown and everything, yeah, I was one of the very few truck drivers that was actually off work during COVID. I haul automotive stuff, so whenever the plant shut down, we shut down.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So I had the whole COVID cut thing going too. My mother, bless her heart, she cut my hair and she kind of messed it up a little bit. So I had to go find me a place, and they cleaned me up real good.
Got you back
little,
right.
Oh yeah, the little lady said the only way I can fix this is a skin fade. So I said, you know what? Do what you got to do. And after that, I have been hooked on the skin fade.
Same. I go down to a 1 just because my head gets fried as much as I'm outside. So
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to look like a tomato has been dipped into ranch dressing or something, red at the bottom and white at the top.
Yeah.
But I'm very iffy about my hair.
The only part about the whole skin fade thing is on the back of my head, I have got one of the biggest fat rolls you've ever seen. And I cannot get rid of it no matter how much weight I lose or what. I mean, it's to the point where whenever I get my hair cut, I have to pretty much put my chin right here on my chest to try and straighten it up so they can cut it. I mean, it's ridiculous. Stella Glover,
duct tape in there and just pull it down.
yeah. Stella Glover used to cut my hair a lot.
Yeah.
If y'all know her, since
Yeah.
you're from this area. Stella, if you're listening to this, we love you and we hope that you're doing well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're going to be.
Been praying since day one.
Yeah.
Absolutely. She was nice enough to come on episode 1 and tell her story at the time. And
Yeah.
I just hope I can get her back on so she can tell the rest of it.
Yeah.
I'm not a very religious man, but I believe she'll pull through it.
Oh, yeah. That woman ain't nothing but a fighter.
I was gonna say I think she might be too stubborn not to pull through it.
So, yeah, she used to cut my hair a lot, and I'd have to do all of that. And I've got a mole back here, too, that I need to go get taken off, but never fails. Anytime I get my hair cut, somebody's going to hit that thing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Stella got to the point where she knew where it was, and she would miss it, but everybody else just loves to hit that thing.
I got to the point where Shane was when he came home. I was just ready to let my hair grow out. Then my brother decided he was going to get married, and I was like, well, I guess I kind of need to clean up a little bit. So that was the first time I went to Eric Nix, and that wasn't long after he had opened.
Yeah.
So I've been going to him ever since. So 7-ish years now.
I think a marriage just ruins everything, don't it?
I'm telling you.
Man, let me tell you, before I got married, I had a beard about like this going, and I was pretty proud of it. And I was like, you know what? If you don't want me to have a beard, cool. I mean, at least I'm not going full shave because I don't want to look like a 12-year-old because they'll put you in a precarious position up there looking like you're marrying a child.
Right.
See, I'm the exact
I'm big
opposite.
baby faced.
I showed up to our buddy Colby's wedding with a baby mullet started, and it looked hideous at the time. I was also trying to bleach it
Yeah.
before I was really letting it grow, so it just looked like a Mountain Dew colored just mess back there. Look great from the front, but any side profile picture that came from that wedding, not good.
There might have been a few Mountain Dew drinkers that actually looked at that and thought, that man looks delicious.
Well, shout out to the Mountain Dew drinkers out there.
Yeah, whenever
Come
I
out
was
to the
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, come out to the old 64 brew crawl. You might get a little reminiscence of that on August the 20th. I don't know if it's
21st.
21st.
Good segue. Let's talk about it. Old 64 brew crawl. What's going on with it?
So 90s themed, starting out at Tallulah, right? Or is it at?
No,
it
it's
started
starting
at
at
Twisted.
Twisted.
Ends at Tallulah.
Doing 90s karaoke at Twisted Barley, hosted by Matthew Ostrich Mitchell.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm trying to remember. I know they got a few different things planned, like best 90s costume. Strictly 90s karaoke.
Yeah.
There's a few other things I can't think of off the top of my head though.
And then at Tallulah, Barry Bangers. You ever heard Barry Bangers? He's a DJ, local DJ. Oh man, very talented guy. He's been on our podcast. Got to know him a little bit, and very talented guy. So it pretty much goes from a karaoke party to club scene, which will be fun. Like the last brew call they did before COVID, I think it actually happened the week before the shutdown.
It might have actually been what started COVID in Walker County.
A lot of bumping and grinding to Purple Rain.
Yeah. Well, now that because I hadn't thought about this, but if Barry Bangers is DJing, is he going to have 90s mashup, like for the like you said, the club scene? Because that's going to be electric if so.
He's a big 90s hip hop guy. So yeah, there'll be some bangers, no pun intended, play.
All right. You mentioned the costume. Let's hear it. Or is it going to be a surprise?
When's this coming out?
Monday.
Yeah, can't rest that one.
Man.
All I'm going to say is Passage Our Boys are
we're coming in hot.
Yeah.
We're coming in hot, first of all.
Some country kings.
Yeah, so some iconic 90s country legends will be well represented. Maybe pay an homage to some pretty famous bodies of water. About all I can say.
There you go. And it'll be a great day to be alive.
Drake there you go. Drake is
Now see, I was sitting there thinking with that mullet and that mustache, I was thinking either Tracy Lawrence or Joe Diffie.
Joe Diffie would have been a good one.
If Shane would have rolled up to the brew calling John Deere, that'd have been game over.
Yeah. To hell with the costumes. I was most committed here. Can't tell me otherwise.
If you would have dressed up like Joe Diffie, you would have had to do karaoke to Pickup Man. Just saying.
Oh, without a doubt.
Either Pickup Man or John Deere Green.
Well, so.
Nice. I just got a preview, and it is not coming out of my mouth.
Yeah.
But, yeah, if you're listening to this inside the Walker County area, I just seen both. And if you're listening to this inside the Walker County area, whether you're from Jasper, Cordova, Parrish, Carbon Hill, Townley, Empire, or if you're in the vicinity, say in Coleman, Double Puddles, Haleyville, Tuscaloosa, Fayette. I'll give a shout out to Fayette as well. You really need to come down here, if nothing else, but to see these two guys right here dressed up in all of their 90s country glory.
Yep. Love it. Love it.
And
we tried.
And I'm
we
thinking
brainstorming.
I'm thinking the karaoke is going to be hopping.
Oh yeah. I can't sing a lick, but by God, I'm going to give it my shot.
That's the beauty of karaoke. You don't have to sing a lick.
The best thing that you could ever do at a karaoke bar, or karaoke party, or whatever, is be midway through the segment of karaoke and let everybody get a few drinks in them, because then it don't matter if you're on key or not. Everybody's just having a good time.
Exactly.
I got on one time and I couldn't follow the lines because they were moving too fast, so I just kind of stood there.
Well, that's on you. You got to pick a slow song.
Yep. You got to pick a slow song, and if you ever get lost, you got to play with the crowd and look at the crowd and say, everybody sing along, and get everybody else singing with you. And then
throw the mic at them.
Exactly.
You're low key getting me back on track now.
Right. You know, you got to pay attention to front men like David Lee Ross and Axl Rose and all of them. You know, whenever you get lost, stick that mic out.
Stage presence.
Somebody out there knows where you're supposed to be. You just got to find them.
Exactly.
Find the least judgmental person out there. They're probably hoping you do better, so they might help you out a little bit.
It's karaoke, man. Even if they're acting like they're not judgmental, they're sitting there thinking to themselves,
everybody's judging.
Jesus Christ, get this son of a gun off the stage.
I'll never listen to this song again.
Especially the guy in the back. He's like, my girlfriend drugged me here. I don't want to be here. If this guy don't hurry up and get off the stage, I'm going to throw him off the stage. Please, for the love of God, pull the plug.
Oh, man.
Somebody walk up and whisper, look, I will pay for your next drink. Just stop it.
I hope they got
at that point, I'm like, okay, cool.
They got to put a bouncer around the transformer there at the bar.
Yeah. That's why I can't hardly go to bars anymore. I'm wearing a white T-shirt now, but whenever I was doing the bar scene for a long time, I would wear black a lot. I'm 6'7", 400 pounds, and
you get
I
mistaken
like
for
every single time. The little lady who has to go pee always walks over there to me and says, "Can you tell me where the bathroom is?" Every single time, and I have to say, I don't work here, but you're not. No, I'm not security.
No.
And then there's always that one guy. You know who I'm talking about. He's
biggest guy in the bar.
He's anywhere between half to 3/4 lit. And, he's seeing 3 of me when he finally gets the courage to walk up to me to say what he's been wanting to say 2 hours ago.
Yep. 10 foot tall and bulletproof.
Yeah. He walks up and kind of got that little swagger going because he can't stand still. And he says, if anything pops off in here, I want you on my side. Every single time.
That's which one, buddy? You got about 4 of them right now.
Right. But yeah, Lord, where do you go from there?
Yep.
So
I miss those bar days. At the same time, I don't, because I'd rather be at home drinking.
Right.
Yep, that's what I was gonna. That's exactly what I was gonna say. As much fun as we had in bars, now that I'm privy to just being able to go buy 30 beers for sometimes the price of cover.
Yeah.
And just pound them at my house and be 15 foot from my bed. Huge fan.
You avoid the cops and stupid decisions.
And I control the music. I don't have to. I don't have to listen to whatever somebody's throwing on a jukebox.
I can either cry, I can headbang, or I can throw up the West Coast when I'm listening to Tupac. Don't matter. Like, I control that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm my best. I'm my favorite DJ.
Hey, I play all the best hits, man.
Oh yeah.
I'm with y'all. Now that I'm older, I enjoyed it back in the day whenever I would go. But the older I get, dude, it hurts to get up out of bed sober.
Yeah. Let me tell you, though, to be honest, I don't really drink until he comes over and we do a podcast or something.
So you got to be
honest.
So you got to be drinking to record. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it loosens me up.
Yeah.
It gets the guests loosened up because I'll give them a glass of bourbon. Just smooth talking. And then
I'm a bit overbearing.
Yeah.
I'll come right out and say it. My personality is a little out there, and I try to just force that onto people. Listen, we're having a good time, all right? I brought 30 beers. We're drinking 29 of them.
See, Shane's gotten to the point now, he doesn't even knock. He'll just walk in, and, I'll not even be thinking about alcohol or anything, but he'll walk straight to the fridge, and I'm like, all right, well, just grab me a few while you're over there, bud.
Might as well. Just sit just sit the cooler right there on top of the desk.
Oh, even better. That's what I was about to say. That's how you know you got a damn good friend. He lets me keep my beer in his fridge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, when we start passing the jar,
that's when it gets reckless.
Yeah, that's when podcasts go off the rails real quick.
No such thing as an off the rail podcast.
I would say you should listen to season 3's finale.
Yes,
with Mason Bourne and Eric Nix.
All right, I will.
That one, you should be able to pinpoint right around the 7.5 hour mark of when that one went off the rail.
It ran 3 hours. We recorded for 4.5, and it took me 5 days to edit that podcast.
Yeah, there were things that happened in this room that I'll never forget.
Or tell, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Hey, whatever happens in the Pass the Jar studio stays in the
Uh-huh.
Pass the Jar studio. Unless you want to
Except
tell
for
your
chlamydia,
friends.
that shit'll come with you.
Or the clap.
We really do try to keep it PG-13, but depending on who's in here, man, like you never know. It can go one way or another.
Yeah.
But either way, we try to produce like quality conversations and content.
Same
Now,
here.
with our videos, we do keep it a little under. What am I trying to say here? Kind of keep it on the rails as far as being, not much profanity, not many bad jokes or anything, just because you never know whose kid has their phone in their hands when they can pull up a video on Facebook. So, or TikTok. Like I had a friend, he's like, man, my kids found y'all on TikTok. And I was like, I'm glad we kind of keep it safe on there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have y'all started doing the little TikTok dances yet?
No, we don't dance.
Yeah, no.
We just tell you what songs are bad, what songs are good.
We honestly, though, we should get in on the TikTok dances because I feel like as bad as we are at it, we'd probably get a lot of views for it.
Yeah.
A lot of people going, y'all got to see these two idiots.
Hashtag bad dances.
Yeah. I've been told that I needed to do at least one dance and put it on my TikTok as well. I just don't know if I've got the nerve.
I just hadn't found one that I'm coordinated enough to even attempt yet.
Yeah.
There's a lot of movements going into these TikTok dances, and I can barely count to 4.
Yeah.
That's that Sipsy education
Yeah.
for you.
Right. Yeah. The last time I tried to do any kind of dance move was that, I think it was that, I don't know what the proper term is, but it was that dental floss thing, back 2 or 3 years ago that they were doing.
Never been able to do it. Never been able to do it. I can't get my arms and my hips to work right.
Yeah.
I just end up like looking like I'm trying to row my way out of a heavy current in a kayak.
I'm going to show how old I am. You remember the Karate Kid 2, the little doll that did the little swinging things?
Yes.
Yeah.
That Miyagi was sitting there. Yeah. I kind of looked like a fat version of that whenever I was trying to do it.
The little drum that he's got right there is like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm about the same.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, God, I remember having a whole lot more coordination. I remember Fat Boy used to be able to cut a jig a few years ago, but it ain't looking too good these days. I might need to quit that.
I have no rhythm.
Yeah, no, I do well in a crowd. That's about it.
Yeah. You blend in.
Yep. I can follow the motion, but when the spotlight's sorry, there was a fly headed right at my eye. No, when the spotlight's just on me, I'm out. I'll stand. I'll be a damn plank.
Back in the day, after I'd have some double shots of Jaeger, I thought I was John Travolta, but
that's fair. That's fair.
Just, yeah. Don't judge me. Don't judge me.
I would never.
I haven't drank Jaeger since college, and that's because I saw that the color of what I was expelling from my body was the same as what I put in. I was like, I'm never doing it again. Because I woke up the next day. It's like every time I'd breathe, I could taste it. I had the worst headache ever. I was like, nope, never again.
Yeah.
Give me my 128 proof bourbon and we're okay.
Yeah. I love some bourbon. Good stuff, man.
I don't think I ever actually drank Jaeger. I don't at least remember ever drinking it.
Well,
So I'm pretty proud of myself for that one.
yeah, well, I was in my 20s and
legal age, obviously.
yeah. I'm not saying any of this to brag by any means, but I would always, it was just my drink of choice. I bounced from, label to label, just like everybody else did. But Jaeger was always my go-to, and it was always how I judged how the night was going to go.
I like that.
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, absolutely.
You pull it out of the freezer, you grab you a shot glass, or just crack the top on top of the bottle and get you a mouthful and take a swig. If it bites you, you try one more, and then if that one bites you, you leave it alone.
Yep, ship sailed.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, I do that with Fireball now.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I always use that as my go-to to see how the night was going to go. If it went down smooth, Gonna be a good night. It went if it bit me,
We're
yeah,
done.
I went to plan B.
Yep.
I was a big aristocrat guy.
Oh
You could buy a gallon
God.
you could buy a gallon for like $17. Hey, as a college kid, I was like, yeah, give me that.
Ooh. Ugh. Bless your heart.
It's a miracle you're still a functioning human being.
That's probably why I'm immune to COVID.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Could be. It could be.
Yeah, the cure to COVID's actually up at the county line right now for $16 in a gallon of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I had
We'll
I had one experience with Aristocrat. After that, anything. Whenever I go to the liquor store, I'm a top shelf kind of guy. Anything on that middle shelf and or lower, stay away from, because it was always the Aristocrat, the Montezuma tequila, stuff like that. What I call rock gut.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big bottom shelf guy myself.
Yeah. Well,
I can't afford the top.
To
So
each
when I
their
walk
own.
in the liquor store, I know if my chin gets parallel to the ground, I'm looking way too high.
Yeah.
Gotta
To
keep
each
that bad
their
boy
own.
tucked.
Anytime that I have ever just got sick as a dog, it's always been on the bottom shelf stuff. Whereas the top shelf stuff, I don't drink that often anymore. Thank God and myself for, smartening up whenever I did. That's a podcast in itself right there. But every once in a blue moon, I'll have a shot, maybe two. But I just don't go there anymore. But whenever I do, and I'm wanting to drink, I've got the extra cash in my pocket. I get the top shelf stuff.
I respect that.
Wild Turkey 101 is a middle shelfer that I keep in my drawer because it's got a good flavor profile to it. And then I just put Shane on it too. I hate their music, but Florida Georgia Line has a whiskey called Old Camp. It's peach pecan flavored whiskey.
Yeah.
Brother, it is smooth.
Yeah, it goes down way too smooth.
And
Really?
it tastes great. It's phenomenal. It's only $25.
But no, any good liquor I've had has been directly from Drake.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Because I will.
Hey, man, I shook the Aristocrat, and it's like I just ascended to a whole other level
Yeah.
almost immediately.
No, I never got out of that bottom tier.
It's like I went from Aristocrat and R&R to Blanton's and Wild Turkey Rare Breed, and you name it. Like I just went right up.
Just take a little bit of advice from an old guy. Never mix Aristocrat with Sunny Delight. Ever.
Ooh.
Leave it
You
alone.
should-
I don't
You
care.
shouldn't do it with Twist Up either. Just a heads up.
Mm.
Yeah. No, it's bad.
Oh, God.
And it'll get on you quick.
Yeah.
We concocted this thing called grass water back in our younger days.
21.
Yeah, we were
Yeah,
21.
21,
Yeah, we were 21 for
Uh-huh.
plausible deniability sake.
Yeah.
We were 21. But I've never reached the lowest point in my life than when I think Shane and me and a couple of our other friends were in the car, and it was time to exhale some demons, and there was nothing handy. So closest thing was for me to do was take off my shoe, and I didn't think about going in the shoe. Did it in the sock. Guess what? Sock's porous.
Yes, it is.
At that point, when I was like, okay, kind of need to change the way we're living here, Drake.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, but until the sock showed how porous it was, you were having that split microsecond thought in your head saying, I'm a genius.
Yeah, we made it. We made it, boys.
It's not getting in the floorboard now,
Yeah,
is it?
life hack.
And then looks down, and it's everywhere.
Yeah.
He actually didn't throw up in the sock. Completely missed it entirely. He threw up everywhere except inside the sock.
I have seen
Wow.
better days. I have seen better days.
Yeah.
But now we're tame. We live 5 minutes apart from each other, so
Yeah.
we try to keep it somewhat safe. He's a dad. I'm
Yeah,
responsible.
I can't do it like I used to.
Being a dad changes you, don't it?
Oh man, for the better too. At least in my case, for just you talk about a 180. I've got two, so I've got a 4-year-old girl and a 2-year-old boy, and I knew the second that my wife, because the doctor handed my daughter Avery to my wife, and then she handed her to me, everything just 180'd in that moment. Now, any selfish or, I want to do this just went straight out the window, and it was all, what can I do for her?
From that moment, your life quit being about you.
Yep.
Everything
100%.
that you do now, from that moment on until the day they put you in the ground or cremate you, however you're going to do it, is for that child. It's a big life. It's a big life change, man. From what I hear, I haven't had any yet. So
I don't have kids, but I have a dog that I'd take a bullet for.
Right.
It's. I mean, I even still struggle to really put it into words well, just how monumental of a moment it is. And it doesn't change when the second one comes either, because you think you can't love anything more, not to say that I love my son more than my daughter, but you get that same initial rush of, all right, now everything that I ever do is going to be for you.
Right.
But when I see that second one walking around and doing the things he does, I was like, that's Shane Murray remade.
Yeah, that term, pay for your raising, buddy, learning that the hardest way possible right now.
I think that might be one of the main factors that I never get having children. I was always scared of that. I'm a big believer in the word karma.
See, I'm a big tempt the fate guy. I will toe that line with fate daily, as often as I can. So I think it just finally it's coming back to rear its head at me.
Yeah,
like, buddy, you remember all them times I let you slide by? Yeah. That's over now.
My mother-in-law, she has custody of my wife's cousin, and he's with us quite a bit. So technically, I try to be the male role model in his life, and man, there's so many things he does. I'm like, that's me. And people think he's my kid. He's mine and my wife's kid, but
biologically, Drake doesn't have any children, but Drake absolutely has a son. I'll say it.
I mean, the things he does, it's the way he talks sometimes.
I was going to say some of his mannerisms now. Yeah. Mannerisms, not
mannerisms.
Well, I was looking at the Man U poster, so mannerisms. There you go. Yeah, free ad.
He acts just like me most of the time. He also acts just like my wife and some of the things that she does, and which she's been around him ever since he was born, and I came into the picture when my wife and I started dating. So it's kind of like I've just kind of rubbed off some of my personality on him.
Yeah. Poor kid.
Yeah. Kid's going to be a big jerk when he gets older.
I don't have any of my own, but I've had a hand in raising 5 cousins.
Well, hey, I commend you for that, because that takes a big person to step up in that role.
That sounds like a fat joke.
Well, I can see how you would assume that, but that's not how it was intended, so I apologize. Yeah. It takes a big moral person. There
you know what? That 6'7" guy you walked up to in the bar, guess what? He's going to be on my side now.
Yeah. But, they had the mamas and the daddies and everything like that, but as you were talking about, the role model type thing, I've always treated them like they were mine, and I love them like they're mine. Yeah. And if they're listening right now, which I hope they are to a degree,
skip the sock story.
Yes. I love y'all. And, my girlfriend's got a son. He's 11 now. His name's Xander. Xander's probably listening to this too, possibly. I love him too, and I'm not his daddy, but I'm in his life. And I told him one time, because, I was trying to, how do I say this, direct him in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
And
a little guidance.
Yeah, a little bit of guidance. And he said, "Why are you being so mean to me?" or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And I told him flat out, I said, if I'm going to be in your life, it's my responsibility to help teach you how to be a man.
Absolutely.
And he understood that then.
I've had that same talk. Said,
You
I'm
know?
not your dad, but
Exactly.
you need to be a role model.
If you're in a child's life, and men to men, it's our responsibility. We're not their daddies, no, but at the same time, kids pay attention to their dads, yes, but they also pay attention to other men and other women around them, and take notes. Kids are always watching.
Yeah. That phrase, kids are like sponges. They just absorb everything.
Absolutely.
Couldn't be truer.
Absolutely. A lot of times you can tell a child this, that, and the other, but they're going to be watching you more than they're going to be listening to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Point blank. After I told him that, like I said, I do believe he understands. And as our job as men is to teach the boys how to become men.
Yeah.
Be
that positive male influence.
They're going to take something from me. They're going to take something from this one. They're going to take something from their daddy, whatever, and they're going to try and figure out with all of those pieces how to be a man.
Yep.
And it even changes the way you talk to your friends. Like Shane and I went and played golf with two of our good friends this past weekend. And when we were driving home, we were talking about the kids. And I was like, when I got home, I was like, never in a million years would I have imagined that would have been our conversation after a good day of golf.
Yeah.
But it was. That's it. It all changes your perspective on life, whether they're your biologically yours or not. They change the way you think and the way that you approach life.
Yeah, Absolutely. I've got firsthand knowledge on you do not have to be biological to be a kid's dad, or that, like you said, that positive male influence. Because growing up, single mom, just me and her, but I had numerous male influences, and one more so than anyone else, and it was an uncle of mine who, to this day, I still call dad, just because I couldn't have imagined anyone being more of a father figure.
Now that's me.
Yeah, now I call Drake daddy.
I have text messages to prove it.
I was blessed to have a fantastic dad. My dad, he died in 2012, but he was my best friend, and he definitely put the fear of Gary in me.
Mm-hmm.
He taught me a lot, but as I have said on the show before, my granddad, I spent as much, if not more time with him than I did my dad, because my dad worked all the time.
Yep.
And I learned a lot of lifelong skills from him that are invaluable. Learned how to plant a garden. If I need to build something, I've got an idea on how to do it. He just always taught me a lot. And one of his main sayings that he used to tell me all the time was, learn a little bit about everything. Learn as much as you can about everything. That way you're more valuable to the world.
I'm good at a lot of stuff, but I ain't great at nothing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that also bled over into my personality and everything else. I played sports, but I also played drums. I was on the Scholars Bowl team and this, that, and the other. I've got so many different interests. And my uncle, same way. He taught me a lot too. I got a lot of what I am, bits and pieces of each one of them in me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
100%.
Because one side of my family, my mom's side, was more entrepreneurship, theological based. Very into the Bible, but at the same time start their own businesses and work their butts off. And then my dad's side of the family, they're all blue collar workers, 9-to-5ers, 9-to-7ers, whatever. And I kind of inherited both of them, where it's like, I know I got to bust my tail, but at the same time, I don't want somebody else telling me what to do my whole life. So I want to do something on my own. So it's like spending a lot of time with both granddads kind of integrated that into me, to where it's like, okay, make ends meet, bust your butt for somebody else, but at the same time, I'm trying to find an outlet to where I don't have to work for somebody else at some point.
Yeah.
And I'm also a Bible nerd. I'm Shane's religion guy, as he says.
Oh yeah, 100%. Anytime anything like religious conversation wise comes across my desk, I immediately forward it over to Drake and say, "Hey, bud, need your help on this? Something has happened, and I need some insight onto this topic."
Like my granddad had a library upstairs at his house of theological books, and I'm pretty sure I went through all of them. And then I went to Lee University, so you get some of that Bible learning up there too.
I heard that.
Plus, my time at Sumner Christian did me well too. But like I said, I learned a lot about myself through studying theology, as far as my religious beliefs, and that's why I said I'm not a very religious guy, but I'm a relationship guy. So there's that.
You just said a mouthful right there.
Oh yeah.
You did. It's not about religion. It's about relationship. I agree wholeheartedly. That's a podcast in itself right there.
Yeah. That's why I don't browbeat anybody. Like, that's why I said I get so tired of seeing people going at each other with their ideas. Like, that's why, like, you pretty much sound like all these denominations and the churches. They're telling you their way of believing is right, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, look, just believe in one thing, and that's your own beliefs. Just go about your life, man.
Yeah.
So that's my aunt. She could probably recite the Bible forward, backwards, start at this chapter, and she'll read it. They're like, she knows it like the back of her hand, but I could count on one hand how many times I've seen her actually in a church.
Yeah.
I can remember I started my finger waving one time because somebody was naming off all this stuff. I can't remember what the debate was about. And I said, don't come at me with that Levitical law BS and stuff. And they were just kind of stopped in their grounds. I'm like, don't worry about it. Yeah, it's not even worth the time.
For the record, as I've said on this show before, and I'll say it again till I'm blue in the face, as I cough, I love the Lord, but church has turned into a poor man's social club.
Facts.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more.
Yeah.
You know, there for the longest, you know, you do this, that, and the other, you're going to burn in hell. Well, even if you're biblically correct in your statement, there's a lot of people walking around in this world that have this concept that think that hell might be a vacation for them. I think the days of trying to do all of that to get people to come into church are over.
Yeah.
My opinion. I think the right approach is to say, you know what? Jesus loves you and I love you. If you need anything, you let me know. And actually mean what you say. Mm-hmm. That goes a long way. And go ahead. No,
I was
you
gonna
go
say
ahead.
that being on the fence thing, you know, you might have that person that is wanting to become more religious and find God.
Yeah.
And you know, you say, yeah, reach out to me anytime you want. Well, the first time that they try and you say, oh, well, I'm busy, you know, or blow them off or maybe not even respond, now you've completely turned them off to it because you were their outreach into that life. And now that that's been shut off to them, they might not want to try it again.
Exactly. You know, it's just like what we were talking about with the vaccines, either vaccine or not. You know, that's your choice. But more importantly, it's your business. Yeah. It ain't mine. You know, what you do is not my business. That's between you and the good Lord. My job as a Christian is to try and be an example and or show love.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, is it okay if I swear? Because I want to quote this verbatim.
Do you think?
The only time where I felt like I was a bad person, but at the same time I knew I had to make the statement, we were doing a study on why church numbers were dropping. And I was sitting with a pastor at the time. I was not a fan of this man at all. And he said, so why do you think numbers in youth group are dropping? And I turned and looked at him and I said, because of assholes like you. And he was
bold.
Like,
bold.
He wanted me out, but at the same time, he wanted me to explain why. And I said, it's you stand up there in that pulpit and you pretty much preach everything these kids don't want to hear. They need to know they're loved, and you're telling them they're going to go to hell for this, this, and this. Yes, the Bible may say it, but at the same time, they need to find that on their own. You're telling them, without their knowledge that they have, that they're going to go to hell for the choices they make. I was like, I've got friends in here that are like me that are a year or two sober off of something, and that's not what they want to hear because that's not what I wanted to hear. If it wasn't for my parents, I would have never went back to church after I was pretty much on my own. And when I started going back to church shortly after we got married, my wife and I was like, I don't want to go back. I was like, it's the same recycled BS as it always has been. I was like, so as long as I live a good life, live by the one command that Jesus gave was love God, love your neighbor, love yourself. Guess what? That's what I'm going to try to live by. I'm not going to be a Pharisee.
There you go.
I like it.
Yeah, I think that you're right on. You're spot on. You know,
I got the mouth of a sailor. I drink like a sailor. But guess what? I'm going to love you, and I'll hug your neck when I see you in public. And political, religious differences aside, if you're my friend, you're my friend. Yeah. And that's the way I see it. And that's the way the world should be.
I agree.
And I called a lot of flack during my time at Lee because of the way I was.
Depending on your denomination, I grew up Pentecostal.
Pew jumpers.
Yes, I've seen a few. I've seen some people walk on, just run on top of the pews and everything like that. Yes, I have. Fantastic services. If the money numbers go down, well, you can expect to hear a message about tithe and offering.
Yep.
Every time.
Yep.
I'm not going to mention any names. I'm not even going to mention the church. I've heard one pastor had a fantastic service. I don't know how you grew up, but you know, it was one of those services where there wasn't no preaching. Yeah. And he was fixing to close in prayer, send everybody home. He says, and I quote, "It's the first of the month and y'all got paid. We're taking up an offering."
Yikes.
I'm like, yeah, and I got a power bill to pay.
I know what the book says about tithe and offering. I get it. But the fact that some of these churches have to, you know, just beat you over the head with it, to me, it takes away from the real reason why you should be here. I get that building has bills. I am an adult. Yep. I get that. But at the same time, if you as a minister and you as the members of said church are in the will of God, the book flat out says that he will take care of you in your every need. You will have enough. If you're in the will of God, that money will be there to pay those said bills. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right.
To my knowledge, yeah.
So why worry about it? Put your collection plates in them and make a box and put it out there at the door. Whoever's compelled to give will give. Let it go. Focus on the real reason why you ought to be there.
I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah.
I've seen books of churches, and when I pretty much got booted out of a church is when I questioned where the money was going. So there's that. That's like you said, that's a whole other podcast for another day.
Yeah.
But I grew up Pentecostal, and I knew how what you're talking about them services though, man. Like my dad was a praise and worship leader at one point, and he'd give this look at me like, buddy, we're going to be here a while. And have you always noticed that the church services where there ain't no preaching typically last longer than the ones where there are preaching?
Played drums in church. Yes. Yes.
You didn't need an arm workout for that week, did you?
Usually halfway in the first song, I would have to put a death grip on the stick because my hand would be going numb. As bad as this might sound, you can judge me if you want to. I don't care. Rock and metal is a big influence in my life. Has been since the moment my best friend let me hear the intro of Metallica's Enter Sandman. Before the intro was done, I was hooked. That being said, you put distortion in a guitar, you have my attention.
Yeah.
I would go to church, and whenever I played drums, I had a double bass pedal. I tried my best to emulate the heavy metal drummers. Is what it is. Lars Ulrich was a huge influence on me. Vinnie Paul from Pantera was a huge influence on me. John Bonham from Led Zeppelin was a huge influence on me. I would listen to Battery Live by Metallica on my way to church, and sometimes I would put the truck that I was driving in cruise control and try to emulate Lars's feet on that just to loosen my ankles up. You know what I'm saying? Just different stuff like that. One time there was a joke made. I hadn't been in that church for about 2 or 3 years, and one of the people in there said, "Yeah, I think they're still trying to clean up all the chips and everything from your drumsticks." I used to break drumsticks like crazy. I was a firm believer in the whole, in where he said, "Play with all your might." Yeah. I sweat. I know this might be disgusting, listeners. Bear with me. I can sweat in the freezer. It is what it is. I've just always been real hot natured. It's like right now, sitting out here on this back porch. I'm sweating. It is what it is. But usually after the first song, I was drenched. I would literally have to carry extra clothes with me every church service to change out of after I got done playing.
That's impressive.
Oh yeah.
But
that just means you were dedicated.
Oh yeah, I was. I chased that rabbit. I'm gonna go to this, and then we can change the subject if you want to. But just talking about what we were talking about, I heard a pastor from a church preach a sermon about the harvest. Kept going on, and he kept saying, "Lord, send the harvest." I just wanted to walk up to him after the service and say, "Have you ever planted a garden in your life? Have you ever planted a garden?" I'm going to ask you that. You ever planted a garden?
Yeah, my grandparents.
Yeah.
Same here. Used to spend all of my summers. I spent time usually at least 2 or 3 hours a day in a garden. You have to plant the seed. After you break the ground and get the ground prepared, you have to plant the seed. Then you have to fertilize and or water. Then you have to weed. And you're constantly having to do work for that plant to grow. And then once that plant does grow and it produces, whenever you mentioned your tomatoes. Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you magically wake up one day and all of the nice, pretty, ripe, red tomatoes just show up in a 5-gallon bucket on your front porch without you having to go out there and pick them?
You know, I think there might not at all, not even relatively close.
In other words, the harvest was there. You just had to get up, take your bucket, and go out there and pick it.
Yeah, no pun intended, but I had to bring it to fruition.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that to said pastor, but cooler heads prevailed, I guess. People aren't just going to go. That's really what I wanted to say. You're going to have to go to them.
You've got to break that ground.
Yeah, you're going to have to go to them. And people are always giving money and everything else to missions, and I'm not knocking missions at all. I think they're a fantastic thing. Absolutely fantastic. God bless you if you go on missions trip. But while you're going on those mission trips, 9 times out of 10, you're passing by a mission trip in itself to get to that airport to go to that other country.
Yeah.
We'll go right past our brother and sister or our neighbor right down the road to go and do with this, that, and the other.
Yep.
But again, that's another podcast for another day. Gentlemen, speaking of podcast, you guys have a fantastic podcast. I am enjoying listening to it. Can't wait to listen to the next episodes. When's your next episodes coming out?
We start season 4 of Pass the Jar August the 25th. Mm-hmm. So next Wednesday.
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
And then we are launching a new podcast with our friend Ladarius Johnson, where, like I said, it's going to be no holds barred on that one. It's going to be called Pardon My Southern. That'll launch the exact next week, September the 1st.
Pardon My Southern. I've actually had to say that a time or two, and I think I said it on the podcast once. I was told by one of our listeners I go from 0 to cornbread in about 2.5 seconds.
Oh, yeah. I like it. That's how I get on Fireball. I start speaking banjo.
Ooh, banjo. You're not telling anybody they got a pretty mouth, are you?
Yeah. Plausible deniability on that one.
Guys, plug your social media, please, if you would.
Our Facebook, all you got to do is search Pass the Jar. That's it for us, like as far as Facebook goes. But Instagram is Pass the Jar Podcast.
TikTok, Pass the Jar Pod.
TikTok is Pass the Jar Pod. And that's all our socials right there. We do bopper flops. We pick, we tell you what song's good or in our opinions. Shane and I don't typically have the same opinion on music. Mm-mm. And then we just do stupid stuff on TikToks, and Instagram will plug episodes. Same with Facebook. And we've done a summer series where we're showcasing local cooks and restaurants. It's called PTJ One Bites. So if you want to go back through our archives and check those out, and we'll occasionally post video and audio clips of podcasts on all those.
Very good.
We stay busy. We're full time. Yeah. We do have a YouTube channel, but it's been a minute.
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel. It's just not very active.
Yeah.
All right. Drake, Pittman, Shane Murray, it's been a pleasure. You're welcome on my porch anytime.
Appreciate you,
buddy. You're welcome to come pass the jar with us, which will happen season 4. Absolutely. We'll go ahead and book that one.
Name the date and name the time, and we'll work it out.
We got a long season ahead, brother. We will get you in for sure.
Absolutely.
Zero doubt about it.
This was a lot of fun. Enjoyed it.
Big thanks to Drake and Shane for coming onto the porch. Find Pass the Jar anywhere you listen to podcasts and on social media. Leave a review telling them that you heard them on Porch Matters. If you are new to the show and like what you hear, hit that like, subscribe, or follow button and download the episodes in our archives. If this show has been a positive addition to your life, please rate the show and leave a review. Won't take you but a minute, and it really would help the show. Find us on social media by typing Porch Matters Podcast in the search bar. Word of mouth is still the best way of sharing. Pick your favorite episodes and share it with at least one person this week. There are a lot of people out there that have never heard of a podcast before. I sure would appreciate it. And I'll see you next time, right here on Porch Matters.